Thank you for tuning in yet another episode of our family talk show here at Church of Uganda Family TV. How are you doing? It's a great pleasure to be back here. I know you are excited and already blessed. Today I'm joined by a great, amazing couple. Get ready, get ready. Today I have Caleb Ndishakiye. Oh God help me. Together with his dear wife, Patricia Ndishakiye. I believe today we are going to learn some, what is it called? That language from Kisoro. Rufumbira. Yeah, anyways, thank you very much for joining in. We are blessed to have you. Our topic this evening is managing wedding pressures as a couple. But before I bring them on board, allow me introduce our guests today. Caleb Ndishakiye, oh my God, is a born-again Christian married to Patricia K. Amara from Kisoro, a teacher by profession and currently program specialist at Reading Association of Uganda. He likes reading and playing ukulele. I want to know how they play that ukulele. It's a very interesting instrument, I can't believe. He's passionate about promoting godly marriages and relationship. His dear wife, Patricia Ndishakiye, Kisoro. She's a born-again Christian and, of course, married to Caleb Ndishakiye, mother of one, Jordan, the other name I will not say. He's a social worker, but currently a stay-home mom. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me. Welcome these great people from the land of Kisoro. Hi, please greet us in Rufumbira. Is that the right word?
Absolutely.
Okay,
that's Murahoneza.
Oh.
Murahoneza. Oh, that's lovely. You
Really?
know some of it already. Thank you,
nice.
Claire, for having us. Praise the Lord, viewers. It's a joy and a privilege to have this moment to talk and converse with you on things very close to our hearts.
Wow, that's
Thank
amazing.
you, Claire.
Trish, you know
Yes,
Rufumbira
I've
already.
actually been learning. I have a very good teacher with me here. Mezente.
Wow, to the
Is
that
that
Oh, yeah, you got that right. You're doing great already.
Yes, I'm doing great. Yeah, please say hello to the viewers.
Hello, our viewers. Mezamute, Murmuta, that's in Rutoro, my language. I'm happy to be here. It's an honor to be here to share this awesome topic about managing wedding pressures.
Wow. This is really exciting. We are happy to have you here and especially to share your story and your experience on the wedding pressures. You know, when we are preparing for these weddings, a lot of, challenges here and there, and that's why they are here to share their experience. Did they go through any pressures or it was a smooth run? Is that true? Was it a smooth run?
Smooth is a myth. You don't get
Made
it
it to
smooth.
the finish line.
I just like that. Oh my God.
That's important.
So anyways, just share with us, what are some of the things that you do during your preparations for the wedding?
You want to go first?
Well, preparing for the wedding was interesting. One of the most important things I think we did was praying together.
Oh, amazing.
Because in the beginning, what we're sharing on our way here, coming for the show, is there a way not to have pressure, to avoid the pressures? And I think we both came to the conclusion that it's actually quite difficult to have a pressure-free, stress-free wedding because they will somehow come inevitably.
Mm-hmm.
So prayer is one of the things that really got us through some of those bumps along the way. Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe saying something into prayer. There is something really fun. We were seated just behind the UCU old library as we were talking and praying into some of the pressures. And we discovered that closer is safer. Most of the pressures we realized were coming if the two of us are pulling apart or if we're bending towards outside pressures. And so we kept saying, in the eye of the storm is where it's safest, not outside it. So we came close, we made our bond tighter and prayed together. That is the only way we survived the pressures.
Wow, wow, wow. And I actually almost asked, is there a pressure-free wedding, or this pressure is like
Pressure-free, I could say yes and no. Yes, because I remember someone, I think, had mentioned to Patricia, prepare your tears, you'll cry a lot of them.
what?
And we passed through it without, I think she didn't cry, so far as I know.
I think if I cried, it was tears of joy on the wedding day.
Oh, forgive my
It was tears of
belittling
joy.
there.
It was not pressure, stress, tears.
So someone could say, oh, you didn't cry, therefore there was no pressure. So if someone viewed it from that perspective, then we would say then to them there wasn't. But pressure will always be there. I also wanted to think there are other couples that opt, for example, to use wedding planners and then sit back, especially in space of sufficient provision, where you sit back and be spoiled by family, have dinners with the different friends and family, while the wedding planner takes it on. That's one other single tool to deal with the nitty-gritties that bring the much pressure. So if therefore a person like ourselves who did it by ourselves would reminisce on the challenges we faced and met one who used a planner, we would say, oh yeah, yours was pressure-free. So I think it's a matter of perspective. Therefore, yes and no, pressure or no pressure.
Oh, that's interesting. But now this gets me thinking, what causes that pressure?
In my view, one of the things that cause pressure is not being on the same page.
Okay.
Because a wedding is bringing two families together. It's not just Caleb and Patricia coming together. You're merging two families, and as many as are the people that are going to be involved in this wedding is as many as the opinions and preferences and choices there will be. And having all those come together and find a middle ground is one of the major causes, one of the causes of pressure, I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking into the same, I think that's such a brilliant way to pull it. I think I love I love that. Just something, an addition. You see, Claire, when you are in a space of a wedding, parents have been dreaming something about that day. Friends have been thinking of how they will spend the evenings, and there is kasiki and
Bridal
showers.
Yeah.
This time there are very many showers, way more than you can count, you know. So there are some pressures that come from outside and those that are from within. And again, in our conversation as we headed here, we actually realized that especially when you choose, you fail as an individual on flexibility. The reality is setting in, and then before you know it, what you wanted to go this way is going the other way, and you'd rather have it the way you initially planned. So when you fail to reconcile reality with what you planned or what you hoped for, and you insist on the former, practically you're going to go through a pressure. Mostly. Is it not pressure enough to accept something happening differently? Yes. By the time you accept it, you actually take in an amount of it, but it's much less compared to sticking to what you wanted and having to force it into the circumstances. So I think flexibility is a big tool to come with, because pressures will come. Yes.
Oh, pressures will come. Oh my God.
They definitely will.
They will. But now, okay, your parents or your guardians or relatives have a different, feel of the wedding should be like this. And you yourself, you have your dream wedding, this is what I want my wedding to be like. But of course, now, how do you balance the two? Because you need your relatives, you need your parents, and you also need, a happy function. So how do you manage? Especially when you are on a different side.
I think let me go first about that. So I will. My dad is my friend. Friends who are close to me know that my dad has influenced a lot in me. And so, Mr. Ndish, I really celebrate your influence in my life and in my family and marriage today. And greetings to you. Thank you for leading me to Christ. Now, my dad, much as I love him, had a different view of how I had to do my wedding. And this has to do with the location. My dad wanted us to have the wedding in his compound back in Muganza. Muganza is the village I come from in Kisoro. And I do understand these people invested in me way long in my life before I came to Kampala. And so I show up in Kampala. About 4 or 5 years later, I get a bride and I have to marry. And now I'm telling the whole village to come and shift to Kampala. It was too much to ask. So I understood where he came from. However, that wasn't my preference because none of my bride's family understood Rufumbira. That means if we went to Muganza, we would either speak English and still have very few people in the village speak, because majority of our family friends are, again, people in the village that will most likely not be communicating very fluently in English. So we had to strike a balance. And about this, we realized we are not going to please everyone.
Absolutely.
What do we want? So we opted, you know what? People love us and we love them, but we are going to do this at Thorncroft Chapel in Mukono. And that's the church where we are serving and we are being discipled at the moment. It took so much. I think it took me about a year with lots of men talking to my father, bringing him to the understanding that, you know what, you can go and do this in Kampala and still pull it off. So there was a lot of pullback, but we held our ground and said, you know what, if this is a non-negotiable for us, we will do everything doable to make sure we bring people on board. So that's how we managed to bring family and friends to Kampala. It wasn't easy. I think that's the heaviest pressure I carried. A lot of strategy. It was really wartime, full time, bringing lots of friends and family here. That said, though, we all went back with a lot of joy and fun and celebration that it actually happened in Kampala. And I have not had detailed conversations on, so what was your great expectation and what did you enjoy? But going back to my village, lots of the family friends and my own friends loved it that we did it in Kampala, even when my daddy was worried. So I think I said in fewer words, I stood my ground and helped my dad understand over time that this is what we want, and please come on board and bless us that way. Maybe something on your side?
I think some of what you've said has made me reflect on our story and how we went through that time of wedding preparation. Clearly, from even just sitting here with us in a few minutes, you've realized he does most of the talking. I'm more introverted and quiet. So some of that, So some of that standing our ground and expressing what we wanted respectfully to our parents, some of that courage came from him, and that's why we started at the beginning of being together in the eye of the storm and praying about things. Because in what he mentioned earlier, saying that there's pressure from within ourselves and pressure from outside, some of those things I already had a mindset of, this is how I want it done, this is the picture we have, and I've already shared it with him and we're in agreement. But then when the pressure comes from family, you're thinking, how do I say no to them? How do I push back and say, okay, this is very noble, I understand, but this is what I would prefer? And that encouragement came from him. For me, it was really, I will state my case and pray for the Lord to bring them on my side.
I think that was the right way to go.
I think even, I don't remember what it was about, but there was something, I think it was the church, when my family were, I wouldn't say pushing, but like suggesting of, why don't you think about All Saints Kampala and everything? And I was like, okay, they're my parents, let me just give in. And so now it started to kind of be a divide between the two of us, because we had agreed it was Thorncroft UCU, and I go and get pressure from home, and now I'm pushing back against something we had already agreed, So for me in those moments was like, okay, I can't go back on my word, because it's the two of us getting married at the end of the day. So I just prayed about it and said, please, God, sort out my battles and help me fight that, bring them on board. And he did eventually on many of those things. I remember even proposing the date for when we were to get married. We kept on moving things around. Something is happening. No, we can't do that date. No, Dad will have traveled. No, this, So, and yet there are key people that you want to be there. I mean, I couldn't get married with my dad not there. So it kept on being a back and forth until we were saying, this year is also going to go and I'm wedding. But yeah, the Lord aligned things eventually. So I think, back to prayer. For me, who doesn't like do a lot of speaking and fighting verbally, it was prayer that helped me stay strong in the midst of things that are not going according to plan and waiting for him to. Sometimes even it could have also been me myself coming on board to something that I'm trying to think of an example in our story, but there were those things where I was so insistent on something, and eventually the Lord brought me to realizing, okay, I think Caleb has a point here. So it was really not more of people coming to agree with us. Sometimes it was even us seeing the reason behind some of the things I was suggesting we should do.
Wow. Well, thank you. And I love the point of prayer, that when you cannot manage to do the fighting, the talking, just get on your knees. The Lord will come through for you. And now that you are, married, the wedding is all done. I just, out of curiosity, I want to know, is it worth fighting? Some ladies be out there and they're like, I want to put on my dream gown, even when the husband doesn't have the money. Is it worth the fight of, I must put on? I've dreamed for this for all my entire life. I must put it on. Now you are, wedded. Do you think it's worth a fight? Of this is my dream, everything. I must have it.
Claire, that question is quite interesting. But as you were asking, I was telling myself, I was going back to our wedding clothes, both her gown and my suit. I didn't wear that suit a year later, and she hasn't worn the gown. It's still hanging somewhere ever since. What? So wedding, and then here we are. So the team seeing us, and especially those who are not yet married or who are in these preps, it will shock you how vain. Now, after crossing, it will shock you how vain your preferences were. At the end of the day, when you look back and you insisted you had to have, photography of 7 million, you had to have this size of something, and the day passes, and life begins, and you're like, hey, 7 million passed like that, 15 million and 30 million in deco passed like that. So, and this is not to discourage tasteful things, because when it is something about you to be tasteful, please treat yourself. So I think there needs to be a balance, Claire. So over this side, those things that weighed heavily on us, I want to have the gown this way, and pull back and pull forth, I think we need to draw our eyes mostly on what is the most important thing. If everything were to fall apart, what is that one thing I would grip on to see that it works? I want to give this credit to ladies, and I think she will say something to that. Ladies dream their weddings way, way longer than gents do. Some guys, someone told me that most weddings are men's surprise parties. You show up and hey, okay, you're being surprised on your own function, but ladies have planned these things. And so, gentlemen, I think it's also important to be gracious to these ladies who have put a lot of time and effort. So when you can afford it, treat the girl like this is once. So if there is provision and you can sense she's hellbound, bent to this, please give her a treat. But again, and the lady, it's time to be realistic on your wedding more than ever before. You're going to start a marriage thereafter. And friends, you may correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that every penny in the family counts. Maybe not the following month if you have lots of savings, maybe not the next year, but someday every saved penny will count. So blowing it on the wedding just to do that princess, I do not know who to quote, but yeah, just go all the way and import that gown, and the man is working with tiny budgets, tying strings here and there. I think if you became realistic, that would be great. Even guys, though, this should not only be incriminating ladies. Even gentlemen sometimes would be like, oh, I want a big function. I would like to prove a point. And many times, especially at introduction, let me do one step backwards before the wedding at introduction, and we come with, I have to prove a point to my in-laws. I am rich. And you have had stories of people, hiring, for example, gifts to bring, and then bring, parade a car, and then the car is taken back thereafter. These things are uncalled for. One of the greatest things you do is come as meekly and as honestly as you stand. Show yourself for who you are. It's part of being a Christian, actually. Speaking the truth, offering what you can, and just keeping it at that, and not raising a bar that you cannot maintain.
Wow, thank you very much. I'm so impressed. And I was just reminded, many of the times, the things we kill ourselves for to impress others, actually people don't pay attention.
Yeah.
There is a time, after my wedding, someone asked, "Panay, do you know I don't even remember the gown you put on? But how was it?" And in my head I'm like, wow, can you imagine? We want to prove a point, buy the most expensive things, but honestly speaking, people are paying attention on other things.
And maybe one last thing. And it will shock you how infrequently people will think about your wedding after the day it takes place.
I'm telling you.
People will not remember a thing.
For sure. They will just move on.
Just after that day. So keep that money for yourself if you can save it.
Might I also add that comparison is the thief of joy. Some of those pressures come from so-and-so's wedding was like this, mine will be even better. Or I pick something fantastic that I admired from Claire's wedding, and pick something that I admired from Caleb's wedding, and pick something I admired from Patricia's wedding, and so that mine will be grand and the better sum of all these other weddings that I've attended. Or it could be a thing of, how will they hear that Ndishakiye's son got married in such and such a thing? So you want to make a wedding befitting of, I am the son of so and so, so my wedding must be of a certain class, a certain standard, and the pressure to meet that when reality doesn't meet plan or picture or vision that you had, brings stress and pressure. So to answer your question, is it really worth fighting for? I would say no, because at the end of it all, this is a one-day event that's leading you to a lifetime of marriage. So rather than be stressed about how perfect this day is going to go, I think you would rather take more time in preparing for the journey that's ahead. Because I think many times, I don't know whether it's movies or maybe even
the trends.
Yes, the trends, and we're thinking like it's not a hard paper, it's excitement, we're in love will carry us through, and that's it. But when rubber meets the road, marriage actually needs the time to prepare for it, and not just the wedding. So
wow, thank you very much. And I just love that so very much. A wedding is just one day, but marriage is forever. Choose wisely. Thank you very much, Caleb and Trish. Right now the Family Talk Show takes a quick break. We will return. Please don't go away. Hi dear viewer, welcome back from that short break. I know you're still following, and in case you've just joined in, today we are with Caleb and Patricia. I will not say that other one.
The Ndishakiyes, you could say.
Ndishakiye. Oh my God,
Oh, yes.
today when I get people of Kisori, you have to pay me some compliment. I've learned some Kifumbira. All right. I've already forgotten. Remind me how they greet in
Oh, Murahoneza.
Mulahoneza. Okay.
Yes.
Mulahoneza. Tudaho. Mumeze mute?
Tumezeneza.
Oh, that's exciting. That's really, really exciting. And today we are talking about managing wedding pressures as a couple. They already shared with us and they told us a wedding is a one-day thing. So you'd rather spend much time preparing for your marriage than spend all your penny, all your time on a wedding, which is just a one-day thing. Anyways, back to you. It's really a joy and a great excitement to have you here. And we are going back. Remember, this show is in partnership with Life Ministry Uganda, and you are part of Life Ministry.
Absolutely.
Would you love to briefly tell us about Life Ministry Uganda?
Please.
Would like to first extend our appreciation to Life Ministry for the role they have been. There are a number of couples in Life Ministry that have inspired us and in one way or another mentored or discipled us along this journey in our courtship and even now in our marriage. We are part of a home builders fellowship in our local church, All Saints Reza, and in that home builders fellowship we have a fellowship with other couples, like-minded couples, believers, to just talk about marriage. We are also here as a special invitation from our dear friends in Life Ministry, Alain and Francis Metatina, and that's the impact Life Ministry has had on us in our marriage.
Wow. Thank you very much for that. So would you please tell us, what would you tell your younger self, the Caleb, the Trish of 2019, now that you are, past all that, what would you tell your younger self?
That's a nice one, Claire. Now, almost 4 years down the road, I think I could say to the 2019 version of me of however expensively you plan your wedding, however much detail you put in it, 4 years down the road, it will be such a deplorable, terrible wedding. You will feel you could have done better because you now have better provision, most likely, better, you've seen better. So I think most of the things I burnt myself for were vain. There should have been more important, even when I think we would agree we did a lot of prioritizing, preparing more for the marriage and spending a lot of time talking to couples and reading and praying. But we can agree greatly that there is so much we look at and we're like, what's that we're doing? Fighting for such vain things. So yeah, we would, I think, be more at prioritizing. And I think we would say, though others think it's one day, give it all your expenditure and all your excitement, we would say it's a one-day thing. Give it good reflection and invest with it into the future that comes.
Wow. Oh, that would be great.
I think for me, I would tell my younger self, the Patricia of 2019, which is when we got married, to invest in relationships with other married ladies that I look up to mentor. It was a bit of a tricky dance finding someone to be my matron, my maid of honor. And I think it's because apart from, in the bridal showers, they will bring, I don't know whether singers or all the ladies to speak to you and everything. But that person because now my picture of who a matron is supposed to be has drastically changed.
Absolutely.
It's that person who I need to check on me, who I can call, who I can confide in at any moment. And that's not to say my matron is not doing that for me right now, but I think I wish I had invested longer in our relationship before the wedding. So I think I would tell the Patricia of 2019, look for that lady who is going to hold your hand as you walk this journey. Yeah.
Wow. It's a very, very amazing word that you would tell your old self. So, do you have anything to add? No, it's okay. So, tell us about the culture difference and related pressures. Now that you are from Kisoro and she's from Fort Portal, right?
Oh yeah. So Fumbira, Toro, coming together.
I know.
I think, and this is the trends are increasing, cross-cultural marriages, and so many of our viewers may relate. It doesn't add up until the days are drawing close. You don't know how it will be. The person that introduced us to Patricia's family is a stranger I met in a queue at Nira, and I discovered he's from my village and he stays in Fort and is her dad's friend, randomly. Some of these things are done miraculously, so I really can't take that credit. That is God's credit. However, there are other pressures that that you face, not understanding how they do it, not understanding what their expectations are. Parents coming with a picture of your culture and then ramming into another culture. I'll give this one interesting example now. When you get among Batoro to get a bride, you have to kneel in front of them. And even today, I kneel for my parents, both my mom and my daddy. Now, back home, that's quite strange. That's strange.
How can a man kneel?
I actually didn't think I would see elders kneel. I sometimes think, didn't I take them too far? I sometimes I'm delighted doing that, but they've not done this before. And then they're right here in the name of getting me a bride, and they're being announced to minutes to the moment they're going to kneel. I don't think I've actually come to terms with how it made me feel. But the joy they came out with I think we see the difference and appreciating, getting to know how different people do things. These pressures start from before, because people are getting to know you. They don't know anyone about you, and they are going to send their daughter to your family. These pressures cut through the time of your wedding, and they go much later after. Because, and let's leave cross-cultural and talk about even if it's just families, even if you came from the same village. That growing up in this family and in another family, it poses some difference in how you do life, and just coming to terms with that. So, and in here, I also would like, this one is not our actual experience, but we've witnessed a number of friends struggle with the subject of dowry in cross-cultural. This is a big thing here in Uganda. Yeah, you get to this family and they tell you, oh, you see the sitting room, we would like to overhaul everything you see. And you see that water tank, we need a new plastic one, and they just give you a list and you're thinking, no, I just started work and I don't know how many salaries I will need to foot this bill. And I want to take this selfish opportunity to make it an advocacy opportunity that parents, when you're receiving a child, and this is what I believe from the core, when you receive a child with interest in your daughter, you're receiving a son. Same way with the groom's father, they're receiving a daughter. So making it hard for them to be born into your family is actually telling them, we need you for what you have to offer. And what that means is it could affect so much more of the relationship you would have had much later. And so my encouragement is, and to parents, let the young men thank you as well as they are able to, and they will celebrate that all the days of their lives, and they will love your daughter because they will be indebted to you the rest of their lives. So this is not from exactly our experience. I didn't feel any pressure from my family, and I really celebrate them. Coming from different cultures, I didn't feel that pressure, and I really thank God for that. But friends have gone through that, and it's scaring many young men from marrying, and they end up sleeping with these girls before it's time, because they are thinking, maybe I need to do this shortcut. I will not afford to pay the bill. What do you think of that, friend of mine?
Yeah, so the thing about dairy, and I keep teasing Caleb by saying, when it's our turn, I hope we remember. I hope we remember, because someday it will be us on that end. And I know some culturally, or even individual parents will say, no, but they have to prove themselves. They need to bring these things so that we can know he's able to take care of our daughter. But think about it. Our parents have raised us when maybe 20 something or 30 something, depending on whatever age you're getting married at. They have gone through life, they have reached a certain peak or a certain level of financial stability, which most of us have not yet attained when we're just fresh graduates or just at the bottom of the hill, beginning to climb that ladder of the career process, our career growth. So we can't afford some of the things that our parents are able to provide for us. I mean, by the time they've been able to take us through university, and here I am just starting career, I'm not going to be able to buy all the things that you're asking me for and the quality and the taste that you're looking for. So just re-echoing what my husband has said, to have it at the back of our minds, parents who are soon giving away their daughters in marriage, and even those of us who are still young, to remember that at the back of our minds, that much as this is a cultural aspect in cutting across the board, most cultures in Uganda and Africa have that aspect of dowry. But I think we shouldn't abuse it to the extent of exploiting, I would say, to demand so much. And imagine you are asking for these things from this young man, and so what is he going to start with now in his new home, taking care of your daughter, his new bride, if he has spent and poured everything into the dowry? What does he have left now to take care of his family? Who is your daughter? So yeah, I think that would be my 2 cents on that.
Wow, that's really amazing. And of course, when you know, a man feels the pressure of, oh my God, I was pressurized to pay dowry. Even if they took your daughter, they would somehow try to revenge, you know.
Yeah.
We don't have salt because, you know, I gave this. We don't have this because I gave, you know.
Now she's my property. I can treat her how I want because I paid for her.
I paid
for her.
Oh my God, that's really, really bad. Anyway, thank you very much. And now let's listen from you, from your story. What are some of the challenges? Okay, did you even face challenges for starters?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what are some of those challenges that you faced during the preparation of your wedding? And how did you actually overcome them?
I'll go first on that because we faced a financial challenge.
Oh, okay.
I was in my 3rd or 2nd year of work, and the only thing I didn't have was money. I had the faith, I had the courage, I had the belief that God could lead me, raise a family. The only thing I didn't have was money. And that pressured me so hard. But this is what I did. I prayed so intently. I prepared my bride that we were going to do a faith function. And we would trust God for the very best and would do it loan-free. And that was intentional. We didn't want to borrow for the wedding. It sounded ridiculous, but we went for it. So 2 things we did. We were open to talking with friends and open to gifts. There are friends who will say, no, I can do it. I can pull it off and not do gifts. If you're very comfortable with it, please go with it. But if you have friends who would like to gift you, I like to joke that there is 2 times Ugandans love to gift: when you marry and when you die. The former, you are present. The latter, you're not. So allow them to gift you if they can. And we were pleased to have so many gifts as to be able to pull off the wedding debt-free. And we had so much left after our honeymoon.
Wow, congratulations.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
God provided for us through friends.
Amen.
The other big thing we did was we were open to in-kind gifts. I remember our venue was an offer from a friend who said, no, you come and do from here. You don't have to worry. And we said, oh, okay, now let's plan with this venue now that we have it. The cars we used were from friends. We just fueled the cars, so we didn't have to incur that cost. We kept our books of accounts very, very closely. Do you remember something else we did very closely to make sure that we dealt? For me, I was talking about financial. You can talk about something else. Some other.
Just thinking about some of the challenges we went through, I think I would credit a lot of being able to go through those challenges to premarital counseling. We were privileged privileged to be counseled by Dr. Senyoni and his dear wife, Dr. Ruth Senyoni.
Celebrating them too.
Yes, and to this day, they still check on us. We talk with them, and they get updates on how we're doing in our marriage. So I think that season of premarital counseling kind of helped me loosen my grip on things must be this way, and everything must be according to plan, must be perfect, must be. I've shared with some of my friends things that I look back on and I was like, that did happen and I didn't die. I had a playlist of the songs I wanted. This is the song we must play when we're entering the reception. This is the song we must play when I'm having my first dance with my husband. We never even had a first dance. So they didn't play a single song from my playlist.
And you didn't die.
Say.
And you did
Shout
die.
out to my DJ wherever you are.
God bless
But
you, sir.
I
We
didn't
love you.
die, you know?
You didn't die,
Yeah, I didn't die. So it's counseling and just helping to align our perspective to realizing that the important thing is the wedding. And when I say wedding, I mean church, the vows that you make, and meditate on that, on your relationship, basically, that this is a journey you're beginning as husband and wife. All these other things, my husband and I keep saying, our wedding was church. The reception was for
Our
everyone
guests,
else. Like,
yeah.
to the extent that we were getting out of the car at the reception, and our committee chairman was saying, so what song should we play, what song should we play? And I just told him, play anything. It's okay, just play anything. Like, by that time, I had
Well
relaxed.
done.
Like, it was, so for me, that was a big help to just relax and know. And so church was a highlight for us. The hymns that we sang, how the service went, the sermon that was preached. For us, that was an enriching, fulfilling part of the wedding. That everything else that went haywire or off plan, yes, was a disappointment and wished it could have gone differently. Some service providers disappointed us and everything, but it didn't ruin our day. It didn't ruin our day.
I also must mention that the choice of the people that you serve with could be a pressure, could be a blessing. And this is to say, friends, if you have a wedding coming up, don't miss a step on this. Get people who get how you want things done. Get people who are in your corner, who know which songs you dance to the most, who know your taste. Because about 2 days to the function, you cease to know anything going on. They take over, you know. Secondly, I think, must bless the Lord for the team we had. That they held things together and we didn't have a worry about a thing. So the pressure of getting beats together, especially towards the end, it increases speed and you cannot handle it by yourself. So being wise earlier on to choose the right people, towards the end, it exonerates you. These people take over, and I think we were blessed to have a cool team. They did a great job. Spaces where things would have gone terrible, they gathered things back and we had a great function. I remember we had great food. I think that's one of the things I enjoyed on our function. The food service provider really came through great. So to sum this question up, Claire, I think you need the people. You need to know where you're likely to have the greatest resistance and plan for that very intently. But lastly, I don't want to miss this. We put aside money for our family after the function. We did the purchases we needed to do. We paid the rent that we needed to do, so that we are not here thinking about, so what happens after here? After here. So in addition to getting service providers who fit in your budget and make sure they are well paid and the chairperson is taking care before they come to whisper to you that you won't cut the cake. You know, some of these need to be taken care of ahead of time. That has to do with how you organize yourself ahead of time, how you keep your books of accounts, how you plan within your budget, but also the kind of people you choose. Thank you. I think we'll go out on that.
Thank you very much, Caleb, and thank you, Patricia. Now, okay, out of curiosity, I want you to give us a clear picture of what a wedding should be. You know, imagine the Claire here is planning for a wedding and comes to you who are already, you know, done with that. What's your clear picture of a wedding? No, I'm just reminded. Some time ago, I hosted here Rev Waswa, and he was saying, by the way, do you know that you can come to church and I wed you in your own common dress? Like,
Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
so that's his picture of a wedding. So I want you to give us your clear picture of a wedding. How would it be? Now you're telling the Claire now as you
Claire is about to get married.
Claire is about to get married.
I think I would agree with the Reverend Paul Waswa, because I was also reflecting on the marriages that happened in lockdown, during COVID lockdown. How simple and how small those weddings were compared to a typical Ugandan wedding that has 700, 500 guests, I don't know how many tents and everything. And those people got married, and hopefully by the grace of God, their marriages are doing well, they're thriving. So it just goes to show that small or big, a wedding is a wedding. It can happen. And that's why I would still go back to telling that young bride who's having a wedding coming up soon, is that do it within your means. First of all, why are you getting married? I hope that the wedding you're planning is not to prove a point to someone, is not to say, oh, so there was this girl who mocked me and everything, I'm going to show her. I'm going to show her.
They will
This is for daddy who walked out on us when we were young. Daddy, you know.
Who is this?
We actually,
You know, who is this wedding for? Because sometimes even the struggle to put on a show and prove a point to someone, that person could care less. That person may not show up at the wedding for you to prove a point to. So, plan it within your means. Plan the wedding with the right intentions. A wedding ideally is man and wife coming together to declare before God, make these vows to each other, and begin the journey of marriage. So whatever that looks like in that package, because like my husband said earlier, we shouldn't come off as saying if you have the means to plan a big wedding, you shouldn't, but prioritize. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I love the wedding vows. I think I would encourage couples to spend a hefty amount of time going through the vows and what they mean. There is one statement that rings in my head from these vows, that they are not to be taken lightly and without serious thought. So these are lifetime vows. They are statements, but we establish them, and heaven establishes them the moment we say them. So whatever the reason it is that you're getting married, focus on it. I want to believe that it is to raise a family, and I pray a godly family. If that is the case, then focus on what is most important. My wife put it very aptly that the major reason is coming together, and that happens in church. The Reverend Dr. Rebecca that wedded us likes to say when she weds people, whatever happens after we have put you, we have wedded you, we don't have to go to the reception. The family is established here and now. So that, I think, should take preeminence. Secondly, you can treat yourself actually, even if resources are minimal. There is a couple friend of ours, their priority was a ring. And they said, do whatever you will, I want a really nice ring. So they went all the way. I also encourage couples, God willing and enabling you, it's important in our day to actually consider honeymoon, however simple. To go out of your norm and get accustomed to your new life. Get introduced to new life. We think it is to your bride. It's actually to your new self. One of the things that preoccupied my head on our wedding reception was how new I had become and whether I was prepared, to walk in this newness. So spend a lot of time thinking and reflecting on what it takes to walk into this new marriage you're walking into, do those vows properly, know them at heart and what they mean, and be sure you mean it. Thankfully, even on the day of the wedding, if you feel you're not sure, it's better business, it's greater business to pause the wedding when we are already gathered than say a word that you don't mean in those vows. So that's my great encouragement. Focus on the wedding, focus on the function.
Wow. Well, thank you very much, Caleb and Patricia, for that great sharing. Our time is really, really fast spent. I'll receive your parting shots and then we'll sign out.
Parting shots just to celebrate this girl that caused me to be
Hey, mama. Yeah.
braver than I could ever be. This beautiful girl really moved me.
Oh, that's so
I
cute.
am a greater man that I met her, and I celebrate her faith. For me, it's the greatest thing. Story of another day, how we came to meet, and all those
Congratulations,
story for another day. But also to celebrate our families that came through and supported us through the process and saw it done and helped focus us on the most important things. And thank God, because that happened really well, and we are still doing a great marriage. We thank God. So far, so good. Your parting shot?
My parting shots are just to thank you for the opportunity to be here to share on something that is near and dear to us. We have not kept the lessons we have learned during our wedding preparations and the lessons we're learning along the way in marriage. We share it with couples and friends that are on this journey at different stages of the journey. So we're thankful to have the opportunity to talk. I thank you, my dear husband, for doing this journey with me. And also a shout out to all the couples that have walked with us. The Ndimubanzis, the Mutatinas, the Senyunis,
Chimeras,
the
you know,
Chimeras
in
who were
Boston.
there right at the beginning of our journey, and our parents
Oh, yeah.
who have really led us along the way and continue to hold us in prayer and encouragement. And yeah, we are who we are because of them.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, and thank you so much, my dear hubby, wherever you are. Mr. Winter.
And thank you, Claire, for having us. It's been a really great conversation, and we appreciate you for your time.
All right,
and
thank
invitation.
you. Thank you. It's been a great joy and pleasure to have you here. Our time is really fast spent. And to you, our dear viewer, thank you for loving us and keeping it Church of Uganda Family TV, the family talk show with me, your world's favorite host, Claire Bweje. It's a good night. The news that, no, it's a good night. See you again next time. Bye. Ciao. Bye.